Alright, so today I'm back with yet another video, and today I will go over the full match between Team Nagi and Team Kiora. I uploaded a short segment from this match yesterday, but today the full thing is finally ready, and when I tell you that this match is truly insane, I really mean it because it gets super wild. Anyway, I won't hold you guys any longer, just be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like and comment which of the goals from this match is your favorite. With that out of the way, let's get into it. With that, the second selection rivalry battle, a high-stakes 4v4 match, kicks off, and the ball is launched into play. As the game unfolds, Chigiri quickly assesses their team's formation. With Barou and Nagi positioned at the top, their basic tactic is for Zantetsu and him to cut in from both sides, moving the ball with swift, high-speed passes and charging directly into the center. The aim is to deliver the ball to their twin strikers up front. This approach forms the foundation of their Quartet Raid rapid attack system. Nagi signals for Barou to come forward, but Barou, holding the ball, coldly tells him to drop dead left wing. Both Nagi and Chigiri look on, shocked. Nagi had expected a pass. However, Barou continues to run, and he mutters that he's learned from the last match that even if he passes to those jerks, they never bother passing back. Observing his frustration, Nagi realizes that Barou is sulking, while Chigiri grins, almost apologetically, as Zantetsu calls Barou the mentally weak king. Smirking, Karasu notes that their opponents seem to have hit a gridlock and dares Barou to take a shot. Annoyed, Barou challenges him right back, daring him to stop him. As Barou attempts a powerful kick towards the goal, Otoya compliments his strength, but Kiora intercepts, remarking that he successfully limited Barou's options. Karasu agrees, acknowledging that he anticipated Barou's shot, which made it much easier to counter. Now, he signals it's their time to launch a counterattack, and his teammates all get into position. Kiora sprints down the field toward Nagi, and Himizu playfully asks Kiora to pass, adding a "pretty please." When Kiora passes, Barou steps forward, saying he won't allow it. Yet Otoya uses Barou as a decoy to slip behind him, catching him completely off guard. Otoya takes the shot, even surprising his own teammates with his rapid move. Zantetsu, still stunned, labels it a meat shield technique, but manages to intercept just in time, signaling it's their turn to counter the counterattack. He passes the ball to Nagi. Chigiri then reassures his team that if he can't break through the center, the sideline is his domain. As Chigiri speeds forward, Himizu blocks his path, commenting on his incredible speed. Chigiri thinks to himself that since his direct route is cut off, he'll have to maneuver around him. However, to Chigiri's shock, Himizu matches his feint perfectly. Himizu cheers Chigiri on, taunting that his main strength has been shut down, leaving him powerless. Growing frustrated, Chigiri realizes that Himizu's timing is spot on, almost as if he's reading his every move. He decides to force his way to the goal box by trying to pass to Zantetsu instead, only for Karasu to intercept, thanking Chigiri sarcastically. With a smirk, Karasu comments that desperate weaklings are easy prey for the strong. That's just the way the world works. At that moment, Nagi appears, exuding a dark, intense aura. He confidently tells Karasu he's wrong, mockingly calling him cocky crow-san. Karasu, taken aback, watches as Nagi deftly outmaneuvers him and prepares to shoot. Nagi then performs a breakdancing shot, scoring a stunning goal. The opposing team stands in shock at Nagi's incredible skill. Even Nagi is surprised at his own feat, realizing he anticipated the enemy's moves and positioned himself accordingly, all on instinct. For the first time, he feels he's playing soccer with his own mind, marveling at how he did it and wondering if he can replicate it. But no matter how, he did it, and he feels more energized than ever, pondering if he really is a soccer prodigy after all. Karasu, however, smirks and advises Nagi not to be so proud just yet, hinting that this match is far from over. Nagi wonders if he truly is a prodigy, recalling the words of Ryo and Isagi and thinking it's time to confirm their meaning. Chigiri praises Nagi for his goal, and Zantetsu confidently states that they'll be the first to reach 5 points. Himizu congratulates Nagi, while Kiora playfully suggests that his teammates join him for a dance battle. But Karasu remains focused, determined to crush the prodigy that is Nagi. As the game restarts, Nagi is surprised by Otoya's high-speed infiltration. Chigiri warns Zantetsu that Himizu is preparing to pass, and as Otoya heads toward the net, Chigiri steps in to intercept him. Nagi watches, realizing that Himizu is passing with purpose, and then looks over to Karasu and calls him Mr. Kanzai. Karasu smirks and replies that he's here for Osaka, not Kanzai, then stops Nagi's advance. Nagi is amazed at Karasu's positioning as he skillfully uses his hands to prevent Nagi from closing the distance. Hey, it's Natsu mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you are already down there, why not leave a like as well? Karasu slips past, mentioning he has no intention of harming anyone unnecessarily. Nagi marvels at Karasu's skills, realizing Karasu hadn't shown his true nature before. Karasu, someone who is deeply moved by ordinary things and feels pain from ordinary things, understands his own mediocrity and wants to hide it. To protect himself, Karasu has developed a habit of analyzing those around him, spotting weaknesses to keep others from discovering his true nature. Karasu respects the exceptional, individuals with unique sensibilities, brilliant plays, intelligence, or ruthless ambition. Meanwhile, Otoya lives life with a relaxed approach, rolling with each situation. He never lingers on the unpleasant. Instead, he replaces it with something fun, finding worry pointless. For him, overthinking is a waste of energy on things beyond his control. He enjoys focusing on what makes him feel cool and popular, aiming to be the best in his own carefree style. When Karasu and Otoya first met during Blue Lock's entry exam, they immediately recognized something in each other. To Karasu, Otoya's calculated approach and cool confidence are impressive. To Otoya, Karasu's straightforward, what you see is what you get nature feels refreshing, sparing him from guessing games. Their synergy is strong, with Karasu's control in the midfield paired with Otoya's ability to slip through defenders and attack from the center. Together, they complement each other's styles perfectly, creating a dynamic partnership that enables them to thrive within Blue Lock. Karasu then asks Otoya to form a team with him, one without passionate promises or cold betrayals. Yet Karasu feels that Otoya can still weave right through them, moving with a grace that makes him hard to read, as if his shadow is steeping in mystery. Otoya remarks to Zantetsu and Chigiri that there's more than one kind of speed. Nagi observes, realizing that if Chigiri and Zantetsu's speed is a straight-line type driven by raw leg strength and ideal for open spaces, then this ninja guy's speed is a curved line type, weaving through narrow spaces with agile and delicate footwork. However then, out of nowhere, an irritated Barou comes and screams at Karasu, telling him that he can't pass if he's crushed and calls Karasu spiky-headed tool. But Karasu, unfazed, calls him mediocre. Nagi reflects that, despite everything, in pass accuracy, shot success rate, and cooperation, the reason Otoya and Karasu are so effective in Blue Lock is because both of them truly know themselves and don't rely on anyone else. They are both self-reliant egoists. As Chigiri and Zantetsu attempt to stop Otoya, they can't keep up with his speed, and Otoya scores, bringing both teams to an equal score. Nagi's eyes widen, thinking that Otoya and Karasu's teamwork is on another level. Unlike his and Ryo's coordination, which relies on spur-of-the-moment inspiration, their partnership is built on a mature synergy, each knowing exactly how to elevate the other's abilities. Karasu smirks at Nagi, mentioning that those who casually refer to themselves as prodigies aren't the real deal. Otoya agrees. Nagi then asks if they were friends before coming here. Karasu corrects him, saying that their interests are simply aligned, while Otoya describes their partnership as one of convenience. Nagi reflects that he's not the only one who came to Blue Lock, met someone new, and grew stronger as a result. He tells them it's intense, just as Chigiri steps between them, noting that they formed a mutually beneficial relationship. He adds that if he and Nagi were classmates, he doubts they'd get along. Nagi is taken aback as Chigiri grins, also teasing that Zantetsu wouldn't even be in the same school as them, academically speaking. Zantetsu yells, demanding to know if he's being called an idiot. Otoya comments on the discord in the ranks, while Karasu smiles, saying it's too bad. Chigiri smirks, correcting them and explaining that they're mistaken. This partnership works because they've all come together for the sake of this match, and he adds that they still have one powerful combo left. Nagi looks at Chigiri in shock, asking if he really wants to go for it, and Chigiri turns to Zantetsu, asking if he's on board. Zantetsu agrees, saying they can pull it off. Chigiri states that he's fired up, declaring it's time to show their ultimate speed zone and change the game. 12 hours earlier, Zantetsu and Chigiri are thrilled when training together. However, Barou points out that there are still too many attack patterns they need to refine, asking if they really think they'll be able to execute them in tomorrow's match. Nagi nods in agreement, recognizing the challenge in making it their main strategy. Chigiri, however, suggests that this new tactic will be their secret weapon to turn the tide, the Chigiri x Zantetsu projectile. On the opposite side, as Karasu asks his teammates about their strategy, the game kicks off, and Zantetsu takes immediate control of the ball. Otoya is momentarily thrown off, noticing Zantetsu advancing through the center rather than sticking to the side, prompting him to ask Karasu to intercept him. Karasu reassures Otoya, stating that he has Zantetsu in his sights, smirking, and adding that no matter how fast Zantetsu moves, they'll catch him. But Karasu is shocked as Zantetsu and Chigiri abandon their usual positions on the sides, crossing paths in the middle in an unpredictable formation. Zantetsu speeds up with a double wing boost, with Himizu close on his heels, stunned at their impressive speed. Otoya observes, realizing that they're using short-range passes while sprinting at top speed. Karasu urges his team to stay calm, noting that, despite their speed, the passes lack precision and urging them to shave down the pass course to intercept it rather than trying to match their pace. Chigiri laughs, calling them fools for thinking they need to follow a set passing course. At that moment, the dual activation kicks in. Otoya acknowledges that even if they kick recklessly, Zantetsu and Chigiri have the speed to catch up to it. He admits he can't predict which one will reach the ball next. Nagi thinks to himself that while it's a straightforward tactic, they have the raw speed to pull it off. Zantetsu and Chigiri urge each other to go faster, pushing to their limits. Chigiri notes that this tactic emerged from the fusion of their contrasting speed types, forming a unique hyper-speed combination. Just as they're about to pass, Kiora intercepts, challenging Chigiri. Chigiri quickly tells Zantetsu he'll get to the ball, and Zantetsu encourages him to strike hard. Zantetsu covers him, and Chigiri leaps, using Zantetsu's shoulder for leverage, and successfully scores. The two celebrate their teamwork, shouting in victory. Himizu watches in disbelief, asking aloud how they're supposed to counter that, while Otoya wonders if their green lights are fading to yellow. Karasu, however, remains calm, explaining that although it's a powerful technique, it consumes massive energy, making it a double-edged sword that will wear them down if they overuse it. Nagi praises the two, asking about their stamina and if they can keep it up. Zantetsu jokes that he's on the lactic acid elimination committee, and Chigiri adds that he can still manage a few more attempts. Determined, Karasu tells his teammates it's time to change tactics, warning them not to underestimate the opponents any further. He adds that now it's their turn to retaliate, calling for an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. As the game resumes, Karasu passes to Kiora, urging him to take charge. Nagi quickly covers him, determined not to repeat past mistakes. Kiora grins, challenging Nagi to a dance battle. Nagi evaluates Kiora's strengths, his nimble movements, and perfect balance. He knows that if he takes the bait and charges recklessly, he'll lose. But as Nagi hesitates, Kiora executes a fast switchback, his feet maneuvering the ball so swiftly, it's impossible to predict his next move. Kiora shoves Nagi, taunting him, asking if that's all he's got. Nagi, now doubting his ability to match Kiora in a one-on-one, is rattled, even if he knows what's coming. At that moment, Barou appears, telling Nagi to keep the pressure on Kiora, promising he'll crush him. With renewed confidence, Nagi realizes they now have the advantage in a two-on-one situation. But Kiora remains unfazed, teasing Barou by calling him a black-haired gorilla. Kiora then pulls off a flawless twister pass, getting the ball over to Himizu. Both Nagi and Barou are taken aback, unable to fully comprehend Kiora's technique. Himizu takes possession, smirking as he declares it's time for the final dance in front of the goal box. As Chigiri rushes to defend him, Otoya taunts him, noticing that Chigiri's speed has waned. Himizu scans the field, assessing which teammate to pass to, and sees Zantetsu's pace also beginning to drop. Himizu grins, contemplating his options, before sending the ball over to Kiora. Barou tries to block it, declaring he won't let Kiora through, while Nagi insists he'll catch him. Yet, Kiora surprises everyone with a grounded backspin acceleration shot, scoring a goal. Nagi is stunned by Kiora's versatility, realizing he's more than just a skilled dribbler, but a grounded specialist with unparalleled control, balance, and shooting ability, all optimized by his compact build. Karasu points out that they're now tied and declares it's time for the second half. He taunts the opposing team, advising them to start using their brains since they can't solely rely on their physical abilities or sheer force. Barou, annoyed, demands to know who they're calling empty-headed, asserting that they do indeed have brains. Nagi backs him up, admitting they may lack cunning, but have imagination. Himizu chuckles at the mention of imagination, challenging them to prove it, as he wonders to himself if they can even imagine that Chigiri is on the verge of breaking down. As Zantetsu and Chigiri work together on the same trick, Karasu shouts at his team members not to charge in and to hold the line. Chigiri is taken aback, realizing that their opponents changed their defensive strategy after just one play. Instead of trying to counter Zantetsu and Chigiri speed with speed, they've decided to draw back, patiently waiting to see what they'll do. To Chigiri, it's a clever move. They've anticipated his and Zantetsu's plan to bypass defenders one-on-one using pure speed and now they have to break through a solid, unified defense. Nagi steps in, urging Chigiri to use him and his creativity. Chigiri sees Nagi charging the defensive line, sparking a new option. He passes to Nagi, thinking Nagi's height advantage will help him make a lob over the defenders. Karasu critiques the idea, calling it not bad, but mediocre. Nagi, surprised at Karasu's insight and the nickname Crow Guy, realizes that Karasu is sharp and has a solid read on the situation. Still, Nagi believes he can beat him, but just as Nagi moves to attack, Otoya suddenly kicks his leg, causing him to lose control of the ball. Otoya points out that Karasu's move was a last-minute ground-level slide attack. Nagi, watching them, realizes Karasu and Otoya are an incredible defensive duo. He shouts, alerting his teammates to go for the second ball, and Himizu immediately jumps with it, smirking and teasing the others by asking if they're ready for his next move. We then get into his flashback, where it says that Himizu has a unique gift. He can see through lies. When he was a child, his parents' love had faded, but they put on a happy act to keep up appearances. Growing up in this environment taught Himizu to scrutinize people's facial expressions, doubting what he saw, and learning to decode their true feelings. This skill has turned into his source of enjoyment, seeing through the lies people tell, whether they're kind lies, defensive lies, or self-assured ones. Human personalities, he learned, are built on these facades. Chigiri, undeterred, challenges Himizu to bring it on, even calling him forked tongue. Himizu takes control of the ball, calmly stating that Chigiri is lying. Chigiri observes Himizu's movement, thinking he's about to perform a step-over feint, followed by a pass. But as Himizu rolls the ball, Chigiri is surprised. It's actually a rolling feint, and Himizu executes it expertly. Normally, Himizu would have enough distance to avoid him, but this time, he's closer, and Chigiri realizes he can reach the ball. Sensing Chigiri's reaction, Himizu changes direction, executing another feint. Chigiri is thrown off when Nagi intervenes, telling him to stop, warning that chasing Himizu could lead to an injury. This leads Himizu to getting free on the field, and then with ease he scores a goal for his team. Chigiri sighs, apologizing to Nagi, and explaining that, although Himizu wasn't targeting his knee, the maneuver was risky. His stamina is waning, and the feeling in his knee hasn't fully returned, but he insists he can manage a few more sprints. Nagi looks at him in disbelief, and Chigiri counters by asking what's more important, his legs or their shared dream. Nagi is taken aback as Chigiri declares that being concerned about injury isn't a reason to accept defeat. He's committed to beating Isagi and refuses to let it end here. Chigiri knows he can't win if he's too considerate of others, and he's aware that survival in Blue Lock demands living for one's own ego. He doesn't mind pushing himself to the limit for the sake of his dream, so he encourages Nagi to follow whatever fires him up. Nagi, still processing, is interrupted by Barou, who scoffs and calls them naive. He asserts that dreams and good intentions aren't enough to win. If they were, he'd already be the king of the world. He questions whether this game is their last stand to prove themselves, or if they're merely supporting each other's success. Barou bluntly calls them losers who happen to form a team. He raises his voice, demanding they face reality. They're at a disadvantage and nearly out of options. Imagining the bitterness of losing here, Barou urges them to realize that if they lose, they likely won't find a team with more talent or skill. He insists they set aside ideals and fully commit to winning, even if it's uncool. With the score at 2-3, he stresses that despair must fuel their drive to avoid their worst future. Zantetsu, admiring Barou's intensity, finds it cool. Nagi concedes, saying they'll adapt Barou's approach to break through reality. As the game restarts, Zantetsu and Chigiri take off together. Himizu, seeing them, notes it's the same move but with a twist as they split up. Karasu warns his teammates to monitor both sides as Chigiri plans his next steps. He knows he can't keep up a series of full-speed sprints, so he'll use his speed as a diversion, waiting for the right moment. Himizu positions himself, saying he won't allow Chigiri to get past. But Chigiri abruptly stops, deciding to pass to the open far side. Zantetsu, uncertain about the most logical move, decides to give his best effort, even if it seems uncool. He's willing to be a pawn for the sake of the goal. Barou and Zantetsu trade passes. Otoya, surprised, notes that Barou could have taken the shot himself, but chose to set up another play. Zantetsu takes control, noting that such straightforward tasks are his forte. Otoya shouts at his teammates to cover the center, but Nagi steps in, seizing the ball. Nagi, determined to focus solely on winning, sees Kiora anticipating a knee trap and dismissing the possibility of a shot. However, Nagi, choosing to prioritize their worst-case scenario over personal pride, passes to Barou. Barou, feeling the pressure, acknowledges they can pull this off, while Nagi admits it feels wrong but urges Barou to go for it. Nagi understands that this is how underdogs can break through reality and turn the game around. Barou takes the shot and scores, and the team bursts into joyful celebration. Kiora observes that they set aside their individual egos and aligned their goals purely to win. Karasu, recognizing the achievement, suggests they're now even and poised for an exciting final match. This setup, he remarks, is perfect for an epic showdown. Nagi, watching his teammates bask in the victory, reflects on what it means to be part of a team and to win as a unit. Though he understands intellectually, this reality still doesn't fully fire him up. Barou screams that it's on and that they will get the last one. However, Otoya tells him that they are still tied at 3-3. We then see Nagi, who says that this reality doesn't fire him up, and just like that, the match restarts with Karasu being in control of the ball. However, it doesn't stay with him for very long as he passes it to Kiora, who absolutely bodies Nagi. But as he gets behind Nagi, he sees a wild Barou rushing towards him with all that he can, so he's forced to pass to Himizu on his right side, who directly passes it back to Kiora. As the ball is going back towards Kiora, Zantetsu tries to use all of his speed to intercept it, but he falls just short, and Kiora gets off his pass towards Karasu. Karasu starts looking wild as he is in front of the goalkeeper and says that he will take it and that the goal is his, but just as he's about to shoot, Chigiri comes in like a rocket and steals the ball, which shocks Karasu to his core as he realizes that Chigiri isn't going for a goal, but that he's using up all that speed while on defense, thinking that he's almost out of stamina. This leaves Karasu in awe as he thinks that Chigiri killed his own ego. Chigiri then passes the ball to Zantetsu, who tells them to do a super fast counterattack as he runs forward on the field. To stop him, both Himizu and Otoya come, but Zantetsu luckily realizes that it's too much for him as he passes over to Nagi on the left side. Nagi gets the ball, and Kiora is in front of both Nagi and Barou. To try and shake Kiora off him, he fakes a pass towards Barou, while in reality he makes a mid-air feint and instead sends it over to Zantetsu, who has Himizu running after him. But that's nothing for our turbo train, which meets up with the ball and scores, which puts Team Nagi in the lead. All of them are ecstatic, and Barou looks at them and tells them that they just need one more. We then get to Himizu, who's freaking out and says that they are going to lose and asks them what they should do. Karasu then steps forward and apologizes, as he says that his read of things was dead wrong, saying that with all the egoists here in Blue Lock, who rely on their own skills, he never expected them to suppress their own egos this much to focus on winning as a team. Himizu, Kiora, and Otoya agree with him. Karasu then starts looking more determined as he explains that thanks to that discovery, he can see a way to win this make-or-break match and asks his team to lend him their extraordinariness. We then see Nagi, who's alone and thinks that at this rate they will win and that it will end without him getting fired up, which makes him doubt if he really needs Isagi around to get fired up. The match then restarts again, and Team Nagi is in total shock as Kiora's team isn't playing like before, as they have the ball, but they're not trying to attack. Barou gets annoyed by this and asks them if they have lost their nerve and tells them to come on. Karasu, on the other hand, thinks to himself that Team Nagi only has enough stamina for one more goal, and by them dodging and passing around the ball, they can save their own stamina while draining theirs, explaining that this is their fortified siege defense formation. Zantetsu finally realizes what they are up to and says that he'll go for it, so he rushes towards Kiora. However, Kiora tells him that it's a bad move as he makes a pass over Zantetsu, which goes to Karasu. Chigiri thinks that he won't let Zantetsu's efforts go in vain and rushes for it. However, Karasu starts taking his arm to block Chigiri and asks him if he's realized that his first step is now a bit slower than at the start of the match, looking furiously at Chigiri, and tells him that he won't make it with that mediocre speed. Chigiri is in shock as he thinks that Karasu is picking up on minuscule changes that he himself hasn't even noticed, and says that his observational abilities are monstrous. Karasu gets behind Chigiri and thinks to himself that it's at times like this where he wishes that he could be a striker hero, and admits that getting heated up doesn't suit him as well as staying cool, because when it comes to facing reality, he's way ahead of them. The ball goes to Himizu, who right away just gives it back to Karasu, who thinks that he'll become an anchor and suppress his ego to control this game, as that's the best way for them to win, saying that Nagi's team made him realize that his cool-headed personality, which keeps him from getting heated at crucial times, and this habit of trying to understand people intellectually. Karasu then manages to hold his own, even when getting pushed back by both Barou and Nagi. He then sends the ball up, and we then right away see Otoya jump over him to get to the ball, and while having one arm on Karasu's shoulder, he manages to score a goal, which makes all of them get extremely hyped as the scores are now tied. Team Nagi looks at them in shock, and Zantetsu asks them what they should do now before he looks over to Chigiri and asks him if he's alright. Chigiri kind of ignores it and says that their strategy won't work anymore and that they need to think of another approach, but Barou cuts in and tells him that there is nothing else and that they have to push through, saying that they will start with the next ball and that they will attack right off the bat and score before they can steal the ball. Chigiri and Zantetsu agree with the plan, but Nagi says no way and that he's sick of this method. Barou gets a bit mad and asks him if he has a better idea, to which he says that he doesn't. Barou then grabs him by his jersey and tells him to get real and that to have an opinion without logic just makes him sound like a whining stray cat. But Nagi doesn't back down as he says that this doesn't feel good and that he'll be bored even if they win. Barou only gets more and more angry at Nagi's comments, but Nagi then tells him that he just saw reality, saying that he thought that maybe the method would let them win, but it didn't work. They tried to face reality and play logically, but if they do that, then they will never win against Karasu. Nagi then grabs Barou's jersey and tells him that they should win with a dream, explaining that all of them want to go towards what fires them up. They want to be the world's coolest. They want to crush their worst future, saying that whether they win or lose, this next goal will be the last time the four of them fight together, and because of that, they should live in a dream as they say goodbye. Nagi then thinks back to Ryo and says that it's thanks to him that he is also someone who can talk about dreams. Anyway, after Nagi's heartfelt speech about dreams, he turns around, and that's when Barou picks up the ball and throws it at Nagi's head, which leaves Zantetsu and Chigiri in awe. Barou asks Nagi why someone like him is talking about getting fired up. Nagi just asks Barou if he wants to go, but Barou then gives in and says that he'll start playing this soccer you can win with dreams. Nagi then begins to walk and thinks that his fire is spreading to others and that everyone else is also changing. And it's kind of funny how Chigiri and Zantetsu's dream is to become the best in the world while Barou just wants to crush Isagi. Anyway, Nagi then turns around and asks them what they should do, which gets Barou angry, as he thought that Nagi had a plan. Chigiri then steps in and says that for now, they should scale down their dreams a bit, asking them what they want to do in this match, for the sake of their dreams. All of them just says that they want to score a goal or win the game, which makes Chigiri adjust the question, as he asks them what they have left undone in this match. Nagi says that in that case, then he wants to beat Kiora in a one-on-one. Barou says that he wants to blow past Karasu, and Zantetsu also want Otoya to eat his dust. This all works out perfectly, as Chigiri wanted to crush Himizu. It then looks like they are doing some sort of ritual, as they says that they will combine their dreams to win and make them all come true. Chigiri says that they will each complete their own objectives and get the ball to the goal, and then the last shot will go to whoever can make it, which they all agree on. Chigiri then continues and says that this is the only sound strategy for a bunch of individualists like them, and then asks Nagi, or Captain as he calls him, how this all sounds, and Nagi says that it all sounds good and that they will crush them with dreams. However, it's not only them who are fired up, as we see Kiora's team looking crazy as they are ready to give them a taste of reality. Before the matches starts, Nagi thinks to himself that he can't lose as he needs to go to Isagi and the fiery place that he still don't know, and with that the match begins. The ball goes to Nagi, who sees Kiora going for him. Nagi knows that in a close quarters fight he can't visualize a way to beat Kiora. Instead, he makes a spin trap as he gets the ball followed by a backspin, which goes into a lob pass. However, Kiora is following this closely, as Kiora tells him that he is too naive and tells him that they should get physical, and he tries to bash into Nagi. However, this was Nagi's plan all along, as he uses Kiora's body and slides over him, while coldly telling Kiora that he got the dance battle that he wanted. And then, while being on top of Kiora, he passes the ball. It looks like the ball is heading to Otoya, but suddenly, Zantetsu comes by his side and tells him that he will get to it first. It's an extremely close battle as they are neck and neck, but in the last second, Zantetsu manages to get to the ball first and screams Motorcar as he passes to Chigiri. Chigiri gets the ball and announces that he will keep it rolling, but that's when Himizu gets in front of him and calls him a liar and tells him that he's only got one all-out sprint left. Chigiri internally tells him to shut up and that he's going to use it right here and now. He starts to sprint towards the ball, but his chains then appear, and he thinks that if you're too busy thinking about consequences, then dreams never come true. And he says that as he starts sprinting for all that he can, which makes Himizu wonder if he's trying to destroy himself. He even goes as far as trying to drag Chigiri down and get a tactical foul. Chigiri very well knows that if he falls, then their play will stop, but he's still determined not to let his last sprint and this fire go to waste. So with all that he can, he uses his strength to just barely kick over the ball to Barou. Barou gets the ball and compliments Chigiri's work and tells him to rest now. Karasu gets in front of Barou and says that he knows his range. However, Barou doesn't even respond as he gets right to business as he tries to shake off Karasu with a couple of chop feints. Karasu then tries to take his hand on Barou, but Barou slams it away. Suddenly, Nagi comes on his side and screams Barou's name, which makes Karasu look over, and because of that, Barou is able to shoot a shot without him interfering. However, it's sadly not over yet as Kiora is behind him and jumps up and slightly touches the ball, which makes the ball hit the post and not go into the goal. The ball then falls into the hands of Otoya, who looks fired up and says that it's time to show his final counter ninja technique, and all of them rush towards the goal, which leaves Team Nagi frustrated. But the one who takes it the hardest is Nagi, who says that dreams aren't enough to win, and that only those who have dreamed know the pain of when they don't come true. He then thinks back to Ryo, and says that he now understands how Ryo felt back then as his dream with Nagi was disappearing, and this makes Nagi realize that what he said to Ryo was cruel to him. Just then, however, Barou screams at them all to move back and gives them the last push, which they desperately needed. Nagi also thinks to himself and apologizes to Ryo for being stupid, saying that he needs to see him again and tell him that. But first, he needs to win here, because otherwise, he has no right to see Ryo. Anyway, Team Kiora is swiftly beginning their counterattack, which makes Chigiri worried that if they don't stop them, then they are done for. But suddenly, as he is running, he can feel something in his knee, which makes him stop. He wonders if his dash from earlier pushed his right leg to his limit, and he thinks that at this rate he might seriously break down. However, suddenly he remembers Isagi's words telling him that nobody can achieve their dream if they aren't prepared to fail. We then see Otoya, who passes the ball over to Himizu, who is against Barou, and out of nowhere, he bashes into Himizu's body, who just barely manages to get off the pass towards Karasu. He gets the ball, but he has Zantetsu right on his tail, and he knows that this isn't going to work, so he makes some crazy karate trick and jumps up and passes the ball over to Kiora to finish the job. But just as he gets the ball, Nagi comes rushing towards him and tells him that he will stop him. Kiora tries to get behind him with his quick and nimble moves, but this time, Nagi reads him like a book and bashes into him, which forces him to pass the ball forward to Otoya. They didn't expect that Kiora would be able to get off that pass and is now a bit in shock as they don't know what to do, and Nagi realizes that he's yet again going to sink down. But just then, we see the goat of Blue Lock, Chigiri, sprinting with all that he can, thinking that even if he falls apart, he will run to what fires him up, and with the help of some miracle, he manages to head away the ball from Otoya. However, because of that, he falls down to the ground and rolls on the field. The ball goes up towards the sky, and Karasu tells his team to get the second ball. Chigiri lies on the floor and says that it's really messed up, but that this is as far as he goes. He looks at his team and tells them that they all better score and not waste his leg, because after all the four of them are going to survive and beat Isagi. And I just have to point out that Chigiri looks like a freaking demon as he says that. Anyway, Chigiri's words get all of them pumped up to the max, and Zantetsu catches the ball, and they together then rush forward in their final attack. However, Karasu knows that Chigiri is broken, and that they just need to stop this to win. Suddenly, as Zantetsu is running, Himizu comes in his way and tries to tackle him while being prepared for a foul. But even if that were the case, and Zantetsu is beginning to quickly fall to the ground, he's still not going to give up, as he manages to get the ball over to both Nagi and Barou, who are running side by side, and he tells them to take it from here. We then get into Karasu's mind as he thinks that there's a 3-on-2 situation, and they just have to chill out to calmly hunt them down. Both Nagi and Barou are laser focused on beating Isagi after the numerous times he's crushed them, which only makes this attack so much more important. Nagi passes Barou the ball, and Kiora tries to get it from him. However, Barou keeps him at a steady distance before he sends over the pass to Nagi, who's already battling with Otoya. Nagi gets the ball, and as Otoya goes for it, he, like always, takes out his magic tricks as he makes some sort of insane trap before giving the ball back to Barou, who's using all of his strength to get ahead of Kiora. But after Kiora lies Karasu, which leaves Barou in a super sticky situation as he has Karasu in front of him and Kiora behind him. Barou makes a chop feint, and because of that, Kiora tries to go for the ball. However, Barou then makes another feint, which gives him the opportunity to shoot against the goal. Both Karasu and Kiora know that they are in big trouble, but just as Barou looks towards the goal and is about to shoot, a silhouette of Isagi suddenly appears in front of him and calls him a loser. Barou is shocked to see Isagi's phantom, who asks Barou to come on and to fight him. This makes Barou come to his senses as he thinks that he will never surpass Isagi with a simple shot like that. So instead of shooting, he makes a chop feint, which goes into a pass towards Nagi, which leaves both Karasu and Kiora in awe, and Otoya is determined to stop him. Nagi gets the ball and instantly makes a direct heel lift, which Otoya can't even believe, as this is something that he's never seen before. With the hesitation from Otoya, Nagi manages to get behind him, and that's when all of Team Kiora realizes that they've lost. But even though Nagi can finish this match, he isn't going to do it right away as he sees Isagi's silhouette appearing on his side. Isagi looks furiously at Nagi and tells him not to look down on soccer, and Nagi just simply says, "Okay." He then jumps up into the air with the ball practically glued to his feet. Isagi tries to take the ball from Nagi in order to push him even further, but that's when Nagi shoots the ball at the ground and makes it bounce over Isagi. No one on the field can believe what is going on except Barou, who asks Nagi if he also can feel him. As Nagi then gets into shooting position, he says that this fire and the pleasure, those are the things which have led him to getting fired up, as he thinks that, right now, he's the most fired up in the world, and he says that as he shoots a wonder goal towards the net, and thanks to that team, Nagi wins the game. Nagi goes down towards the field again, and Isagi's silhouette is in between both Barou and Nagi. Both of them look at each other, and as Isagi's silhouette starts to disappear, they make an awesome fist bump with each other, as they have finally won the game and beaten Isagi's silhouette. We also see Chigiri, who's ecstatic, and celebrates on the field alone. Meanwhile, Zantetsu screams and runs over to Nagi and Barou, and Team Kiora is just in pure awe by the fact that they lost. Zantetsu and Nagi head over to Chigiri and ask how his leg is and if he needs a doctor. Chigiri laughs, thanking them for worrying. However, he says that he is fine, and that he just can't move it right now since it's cramping, but then asks Nagi what that last shot was, saying that he could have just shot, but he pointlessly showed off by himself at the end. Nagi tells him that it wasn't pointless, and that it was just the shape of their dreams, which leaves both Chigiri and Zantetsu a bit in shock as they don't know what he is on about. After that, Chigiri gets into the interesting stuff as he asks them who they should pick. Zantetsu says that he votes for Karasu as he is the smartest. Chigiri agrees, saying that they are idiots, so having Karasu would make them complete. Barou, on the other hand, just says that he doesn't care. Just as Chigiri is about to go with Karasu, Nagi from the side tells him no, and that he doesn't want to split up him and Otoya, which leaves everyone confused. However, Nagi explains that they were the most amazing players in this match, and that he wants them to get even stronger so that he can fight against them again. Otoya and Karasu tell him that they don't want their pity, but Nagi says that it's not pity, but instead that if they are frustrated, then they should come and crush him, telling them that it's their privilege as the victor. Chigiri looks a bit scared and asks Nagi who they should pick. He then looks at them and knows exactly who. He thinks back to the time he got crushed by Isagi, and Kiora looks exactly as Nagi did back then, which is why he tells Kiora to come on, and that he is letting him live, asking him if that isn't frustrating, which we very clearly can see is, and just like that, the 5 of them leave. Himizu is angry. Meanwhile, both Karasu and Otoya say that he's a real softie, with Karasu saying that his way of thinking is going to plunge him into despair someday, and the 2 of them are then determined to make him regret it.